Greetings. I'm here in my kitchen. It's Christmas Eve day, the day before Christmas Eve day. Yes, that's right. And I'm not panicking. This year we're doing a lot of homemade. Of course, all of our gifts are going to be homemade this year. We have some mostly food gifts that we're giving. And I just remembered that I had promised everybody that I was going to show you what I did with the rest of the pumpkin. Remember when I made the pumpkin puree the other day? And I'm going to do several things with it today, so I thought I would try to film. I'm apologizing right away because I don't exactly know how to get the cameras right when I don't have somebody to work the camera for me, but I'll try to edit it so that it makes some kind of sense. Again, so if you're not interested in pumpkins or what I'm doing with pumpkins or what I'm doing in the kitchen, you can go about your day. You don't need to bother to watch, but some of you were interested, so I thought I would shoot a little video and show you what I'm doing. It's actually a practice because I would like to do more kitchen videos. I think it would be fun. So in the future, I have very few ingredients here that I'm going to make. First of all, I'm going to make some treats for my dogs and some of my friends' dogs. We share everything in this house. You know, the holidays are for all of us, not just for my husband and I and my children. They're for our pets as well, and our chickens are involved and everything. We're all connected. We're all connected. So the pumpkins have been pureed, and I have here like 3/4 of a cup of pumpkin puree, and this was puree from the decoration pumpkins, not the volunteer pumpkins that were in my garden. These are just that we bought for decorations around the season. So I'm going to put in the pumpkin in my bowl, and I'm going to add some peanut butter. This is natural peanut butter. Everybody in our family eats as well as we can, including our pets. And so this has to be stirred. This is the all natural peanut butter. Contains the ingredients: dry roasted peanuts and salt. That's it. No sugar, no preservatives of any kind. Bye. The good man is taking the bad dog for a walk in the rain. Anyway, I just need about what do I need? About 3 tablespoons of this. So I'm going to just eyeball it to put in with my puree, my pumpkin. So this is 1. And it's, you know, these are just, I mean, it's for dogs, let's be honest. So how the recipe is just an estimate. We're looking for consistency. That was a little more than, I think I just need a little teeny bit more. Okay. I'm going to be using whole wheat flour. Some of these recipes that we have for the dog treats take oats instead of the flour. But today I have these oats, it's flour, that I want to, you know, it's not as fresh as I would like it to be because I don't use whole wheat flour that terribly much. So, you know, it's not as fresh. It's not stale, but it's not as fresh as I would like it for people, but it's perfectly good for dogs. Dogs are not so critical. Let's face it, they will drink out of a toilet, someone said, so how picky can they be? Okay, and to this mixture, I'm going to just stir up my pumpkin puree a little bit and my peanut butter, and I'm not going to use, I have my little hand mixer here. I'm not going to use it for this recipe because I think I can do just as well with my bread spoon. This is the spoon I use to do bread. And I need to have, first I'm going to put in my eggs. I'm going to make all my wet ingredients first. my beautiful eggs are my chickens on, if you can see. But these are my lovely, some of my lovelies. And I'm going to take 2 nice big ones. And like I said, we're all involved in this. So we save the eggshells. The egg chickens get the eggs, give us the eggs, which we use and eat. And my dogs are sharing this too. And then the eggshells are going to get baked. They're going to get washed. And they're going to get baked. And they're going to be given back to my chickens. We crush them up and then they eat the shells. And it gives them calcium so that they can make more eggs. So perfect for how the world works out like that. I love that kind of thing. Anyway, I just have my eggs. And of course I could use a hand mixer. But to be honest, then I'd have to wash it. And I'm not really that excited about that. So I'm just going to mix this up rather quickly. And then I'm going to add the one last ingredient that goes in this is the flour. And I'm not going to add all the flour, you know, like always, I'm not going to add all the flour because you save some. It's all about how much texture, how thick you want the flour to be. I want it to be able to be rolled. I don't want it too sticky. I want it to be able to roll out. So it says, the recipe suggested 2.5 cups. So I'm going to put in 1 cup first. This is a 1/2 cup measure. So I'm going to put in 2 of those first. About. And stir that. Anytime you add flour to your recipe, this is just a tip. You know, don't ever put all of it in at once. Especially baking things like bread or things like that, because flour has a different amount of water content in it. And you know, I remember I said that this flour was older, so it's not going to have as much. It's going to be drier. Water will have evaporated the moisture in it. A lot of the water, you know, there's not much water in it, but the moisture in the grain will have left the grain by now. And it's still really a stick dough. I'm sorry about the camera angle, you can't really see, but it's still really a nice sticky dough. So that was 1 cup. And I'm going to just add a 1/2 cup. Now I have about 1.5. And oh, it's getting stiff. It's getting nice and stiff. And I'm just going around with this is the way I make bread. Go around my bowl with my bread spoon here. Cleaning it all up. And as you can see, look at that, it's coming away from the bowl really nicely. I've got really a nice, pretty much of a clean bowl. A little more. I'm just going to get it. I'm going to get it mixed enough until I can put it out on my board. And let me move these out of the way. My eggs. And my peanut butter. I just happen to have a table down here. Pretty convenient. And these are dirty. Okay. And what I'm going to do here is now I'm going to put some flour, a little more flour in there, and I'm going to put flour out on my board. I'm going to put more flour in here so I can grab it if I need it, so I don't have to go in with sticky hands. And I'm going to get a knife. I've got, I have stuff everywhere in my kitchen today because we're doing all our cooking and wrapping and baking and organizing, tomorrow, tomorrow, Christmas Eve, we're going to spend with my daughter, and then Christmas Day, I'm going to have my family come here, so it's going to be my turn. Okay. Anyway, if you can see this, I'm just going to turn this out, turn this out onto my board. And this is not like your normal cookie dough, because you would not really work cookie dough or have it this, you wouldn't have it this stiff. But I used my knife here to get all my bits. I go nuts when I watch people bake on TV, and they leave half of the stuff in the bowl. They don't clean the bowl out, they don't clean their beaters out. I get every little bit I can get. But that's something, that's food. Put that down there. Now maybe you can see, I'm just going to get this in a ball. Keep it in nice, the flour working nice. Keeping the flour on the outside so it's not going to stick to my hands or my boards, hopefully. Now, I wanted to show you a little trick I had. I'm just kneading this a little bit. And again, remember I said this is for dogs, so and there's no rising agent in this. So it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard. We're going to get a good dry, like a dog biscuit, right? But this is something I wanted to show you. Some little trick that I do when I'm rolling something out. And it was good timing because I just happened to find 2 wooden spoons. I think where they're from is, my husband and I have done cast iron chef competitions in the past, and they used to pass out these spoons to everybody that competed in them. We have engraved ones, not engraved ones, we have now special ones that have a design burned into them, because we are champions of the cast iron chef competitions. But anyway, what I want to show you is I found these and I thought I was going to just stick them away, and then I thought, oh, these are good to show you. You can use dowels, but why not spoons? And I don't know if you can see it, but I'm just laying it down on either side of my dough. Pat it down, and the reason being, I have my rolling pin, and I'm going down till I touch those spoons. And they're going to guide and keep making sure that I have the same thickness. Do you see that? I have a uniform thickness, which is always a problem, right? When you're rolling out something, they say roll it at 1/8 thick or 1/4 thick or 1/2 thick or whatever. And you think, well, it's hard to judge, isn't it? But if you get a dowel or a spoon handle, you see that? Now I don't know what thickness this is. And there you see it stuck to it just stuck to that little bit, so I want a little extra flour and clean it off with the flour. The wet bits. Because the wet bits on my rolling pin are going to pick up more. Okay, but anyway, I've got a nice uniform thickness now. And boy, this is why I have no cooking show. And let me get my cutter. I have a little cutter, and I'm going to just cut out, put them as close together as I can. So I'm going to cut out my little bones. Now you don't have to have a dog bone cutter, of course. Somebody gave that to me. And I thought, oh, this is so fun. My dogs are going to be so excited. And yes, I realize I have big dogs, and this looks like a little cutter. But I have friends with little dogs, first of all. And we also are going to be babysitting some dogs this coming week whose parents are going away, who are not so big. And my dogs, to be honest, think they get a treat every time they do anything. They wake up, they get a treat. They go out, they get a treat. They pee, they get a treat. They sit, they get a treat. We eat, they get a treat. They go to bed, they get a treat. So if we gave them a big one every time, they would be immense. Okay, so anyway, I'm going to cut for a minute and get my cookie sheet, and I will be right back. Now, I don't have any knowledge of if I should oil this or not. I don't think I need to. I could put a little parchment on it, but it's really not a sticky dough. I think it's fine. And it's very floured. I'm just going to go around. I'm going to put it down on here, and I'm going to just go around. I don't know if you can see me. And just make sure there's no little dried bits hanging out. You know, around the outside, there's little crummy bits, because just push them in a little bit. That's just me being a little bit weird. I just don't like to have, I like to have it neat, because those will just break off anyway if it's too dry. And these are so nicely floured that I can't imagine they would stick. So I don't think I don't believe I'm going to have to grease it. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put them out here, and you don't need to see me do this. And then I have my oven at, I think, 350 or 375, and I'm going to bake them for like about a half an hour until they are done. And then I'm going to turn off my oven and leave them in the oven. This is another trick. Because remember, they're for dogs. We want them nice and dry. And you know, you keep them in a dog, my dogs have like a dog cookie jar. You want them to stay, they'll last longer. The shelf life will be longer if they are nice and dry. So if you leave them in the oven while they're cooling, they'll harden up a little better, so they'll be better. Okay, now I have all my scraps. I have a lot of room on my cookie sheet. I'm going to re-roll my scraps and cut them until I have nothing left, put it in the oven, and I will be back and show you. I'll show you what I have, and I'll show you something else. So stay tuned. I wanted to show you one last little thing before I go away. I re-rolled all my scraps. I have nothing left. I have this many treats, but I had just a little bit left. And you know, I kept re-rolling, and I just ended up with enough in my hand that I thought would make one more little treat. So what I did is I took my little cookie cutter, and put it down, and I pressed the dough with my fingers down into that cutter, making the shape. And then I turned it over, pushed it down again to make sure I could get both sides as flat as I could. And it's not that that sounds a little too aesthetic for dogs, but it's to give it even cooking. If it's nice and straight, and since I can't roll it thin enough, I can't roll it once it's in the cutter, but then I just push it out, and look at that. Made a perfect little bone. And now I have nothing left on my board. Okay, I'm going to go now. I'm going to bake them 350. And remember what I said. I'm going to, after they're cooked, I'm going to turn off the oven, let them cool in the oven so that they continue to dry out. I'll be right back with something new.